Just went out to grab some barbecue. Suddenly, a stunning beauty rushed over and kissed me. Before I could even react, I heard a clear, ringing female voice. See that? This is my new boyfriend. I can find someone new in an instant. So I'm a genuine toxic woman. Stop clinging to me. The woman in my arms pressed close to me. The man opposite me looked disbelieving. The next moment he went crazy, clenched his fists, and lunged at me. Everything happened too fast. Instinctively, hugged the girl, jumped up and took a step back, dodging his attack. Was so scared my heart felt like it was going to jump out of my chest. Before I could even speak, the beauty lost her patience and scolded Songyi directly. Damn it, will you stop it? Tran Tham, you really are garbage. I treated you so well and yet you didn't love me at all. You have no heart. Tran Tham sneered. I only said that because I was giving you some face. Who went to rent a room with that girl from the sports academy, huh? As soon as these words were out, Songyi was speechless. You investigated me. Tran Tham's eyes were cold. Are you even worth it? Songyi couldn't say a word for a long time, glared at her fiercely, and turned to run away, finally let out a sigh of relief. Only then did suddenly realize, had been clutching this girl named Tran Tham the whole time. How embarrassing. She finally looked up at me, her eyes full of scrutiny. I made a puzzled expression. Just then, a girl ran over, panting, Sister Tham, why did you run out here? I've been looking for you all day. Take this. Seeing that the bad-tempered beauty had left, I didn't bother with them anymore, returned to my seat and continued to devour my barbecue. Don't know if it was out of anger or hunger, but frantically shoved the food into my mouth and drank beer, eating until I couldn't fit another bite. The result was that karma came very quickly. In the middle of the night, my stomach cramped as if I were about to meet my maker. I was pale and covered in cold sweat. It wasn't until dawn that I finally drifted off into a restless sleep. When I woke up again, was drenched in sweat. Dragging my tired body to take a shower, I cooked a pot of porridge and sat alone at the table, eating slowly. The house was frighteningly quiet, with only the sound of a spoon clinking against the bowl. But just as I finished my porridge, the door suddenly clicked open from the outside. A middle-aged woman in business attire walked in. My eyes lit up. Mom, you! My mother just walked up to me coldly. I found a school for you. Start school tomorrow. This is your living allowance for this month. I have to go abroad for a month. If you don't have enough money, call me later. After saying this, she went straight upstairs to pack her luggage. Shortly after, she came down pulling a large suitcase. From start to finish, she didn't look at me even once. On the table was a brand new admission letter and a cold stack of cash. That was the only maternal love she had left for me. At the same time, on the racetrack organized by North Normal University, the sound of engines was roaring. In the car was that red-haired beauty, Tran Tham. When taking a turn, her car almost hugged the ground, and in the blink of an eye, she crossed the finish line. Sister Tham, you were crazy today. We couldn't even see your taillights. If you're bad, then practice more. Sister Tham, come to the Hongq Club for a bit tomorrow. Heard there are many new people coming. Who would have thought that Tran Tham would just laugh faintly, start the car, and leave? Hey, Sister Tham, are you going or not? Wait for me. However, in the evening at the entrance of Hongq Club, Tran Tham and Talam Lam just walked in. Sister Tham, Sister Lam Lam. Same as usual? Yes, and call Deep Kian out here too. Understood. I'll arrange it immediately. But didn't expect that. Just as Tran Tham and her friends entered the private room, in another turn of events, was also encountering something that made me extremely miserable. The next morning, a day in September, the autumn wind was chilly. I walked to school alone. This was the new prison my mother had arranged for me. I heard the school had a long history, ancient and elegant, but I couldn't be happy. First, I went to the principal's office. Meeting such a big figure someone had only seen in textbooks, I felt a bit excited. He was very kind and quickly completed my enrollment procedures. Then he told me to find the homeroom teacher. I pushed open the office door and walked in. A woman with exquisite makeup but a stern face was sitting inside. She picked up my transcript, took one glance, and tossed it aside. I don't care where you came from, how good your grades were before. Once you've arrived at this university, everything goes back to zero. Her tone was filled with contempt. Perhaps you were the top of your class before, but in our university, you might not even make it into the top 100 of the grade. The homeroom teacher then took a form out of the cabinet and handed it to me. This is the uniform application form. Go get it from the student council warehouse after school yourself. However, just as I was holding the form, thinking that could finally start a new life, Tran Tham was performing a different drama in the bar. In the private room, Sister Tham, are you going back today or are you staying upstairs at the club? Tran Tham, 21 years old, attended the same university as me. At this moment, Tran Tham slowly opened her eyes and said softly, going back. Ta Lam Lam was about to say something more when the door of the private room was suddenly pushed open. Yo, isn't this our young lady Tham? What wind blew you to this small place today? Looking for my brother? Do you have business? He sat down next to Tran Tham with a thud and raised his eyebrows at her. Tran Tham just glanced at him indifferently and closed her eyes again. This time, Talam Lam panicked and leaned close to True Keen's face. Hey Keen, hurry up and call the guys Sister Tham likes to come here. Today she's like a soul who has lost her way. True Keen then seriously sized up Tran Tham, whose eyes were tightly shut and brows deeply furrowed. He reached out subconsciously, wanting to pat the girl's head. Tran Tham, as if she had a sixth sense, turned her head directly, her expression extremely ugly. She threw back a cold sentence. I have things to do. Going now. Talam Lam looked at her decisive silhouette and immediately followed. Sister Tham, wait for me. The homeroom teacher brought me into the classroom. I heard that those who can pass the entrance exam for this school will be talents sought after by major companies after graduation, but didn't care about those things. I just hoped to settle down and start a new life, but never, ever expected that the moment pushed the door open, the scene inside would make me gasp. The entire classroom was. First eye silent as a grave. Everyone was bowing their heads to study, no one was free. The teacher tapped on the desk, and everyone looked up in unison. Dozens of pairs of eyes immediately focused on me. She tilted her chin, signaling me to introduce myself. Looked at the sea of black heads below. My heart beat violently. My palms were covered in cold sweat, and memories of being bullied in the past suddenly flooded back. My face was pale, and my voice was trembling, but I finally uttered, "Just call me Nathan." As soon as finished, I nervously waited for the ridicule that was about to hit me. But at this moment, a crisp round of applause suddenly rang out. I looked in the direction of the sound. It was a female student wearing silver-rimmed glasses. Immediately after, the whole class applauded along. The teacher scanned the room and then assigned me a seat. It happened to be right behind the girl who had started the applause. Stepped down and had just sat down when a voice suddenly sounded at the door. "Report!" The eyes of the whole class were immediately drawn to it. Looked over curiously, but when I saw her face clearly, I was completely stunned. It was the red-haired beauty from the other day. She seemed to feel my gaze as well, so she lazily swept her eyes over. With just that one look, could clearly see the disgust in her eyes. It was a disgust that came from the depths of her heart, not hidden at all. The teacher saw her dazzling red hair and frowned. "What's your name?" "Trantham." Who would have thought that as soon as the teacher heard this name, her eyebrows immediately relaxed? "Why are you here only now?"